Okay, mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K Collector, and I'm here to share with you the 10 most rare and expensive GameStop pickups for the spring and summer of 2024. Now, I'm not sure if what I'm about to show you is going to blow your mind or not, but I think it will be very interesting considering where I found these games. Now, some of them were underpriced and some of them were probably right around market value. However, because of promotions, discounts, and coupons, all of these games were picked up at an average of around 30% off from what their original, not their original, but for what their aftermarket prices would be. So at the end of the day, if there's anything you can bank on is that I feel like I got a good deal on all of these games, especially considering that it is becoming increasingly difficult for you to find certain retro games and retro titles out in the wild. I did a comparison of all of the pickups that I've made between spring and summer of this year, looking back at the games that I picked up online, the games that I picked up in the wild, and the games that I picked up from GameStop. And a lot of the comments that I got back were that the games that I picked up online were definitely more niche titles that would have just been very difficult to find out in the wild. And so whenever you find certain games at GameStop, it is kind of amazing because a lot of times those niche, very rare or even valuable, highly sought after titles, you just don't see them there. And usually when they do get there, a lot of times the employees will poach those items. They'll snag them up before they even see the light of day on a GameStop shelf. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them. Considering what GameStop employees have to go through, considering what they get paid, if there were any fringe benefits to working there, I would maximize them as well. So I'm not hating on any GameStop employees. Get yours. Do you, YOLO, all that good stuff. Take advantage as much as you can. But every once in a while, a rare game will slip through the cracks, whether it's because the employees just didn't realize what they had on their hands, whether it's because the game, even with their employee discount, is probably just too expensive for them, or perhaps they're just not at all interested in having those games. In either event, collectors such as myself and as many of you who watch the channel who can quickly recognize a rare or valuable game when you see it, we jump on top of these immediately. And I am not the only one who's been able to take advantage of some of these deals. There are plenty of folks that I've seen both in person and on YouTube that have taken advantage of these deals. And so with all that being said, let's go ahead and dive into it. And so we're going to start off with some third generation pickups on the Nintendo Entertainment System. And the first one is going to be a copy of Mega Man for the NES. Now, Mega Man is the first entry into the Mega Man series that we saw on Nintendo. I don't know if it's the first Mega Man entry ever. I doubt it. But this game, they had it listed on GameStop's website for $89.99 during their buy two get one free in the spring. And so it made sense for me at that time, because around that time this game was going for close to $100 on eBay, OfferUp, things like that. I believe the price for the game has come down a bit since then, but it's still a great title and it plays wonderfully. The copy that I got had a decent looking manual. There's like one ding at the top, but overall it was a good find. The best part is that because of the buy two get one free, I roughly got 33% off, which kind of made the game roughly around $70. Still expensive, but there was still some value to be had, and so I picked it up. The next NES game that I picked up was Mega Man 5. So Mega Man 5 was also picked up during the buy two get one, and Mega Man 5 even right now goes for over $100. At the time it was about a $120 game. I think that price either has gone down a little bit or it might be the same price. I can't tell for sure. It's been a while since I've looked it up, but Mega Man 5 is definitely around a $110 to $120 game. You don't see it that often. I was actually Surprised again to see it on GameStop's website, and I think they had a few copies of this game though, because even after I purchased my copy, I still saw more copies available. So a lot of these games might have just been sitting around in GameStop's warehouse at the time, and when they started to let them go, they just let them all go to everyone who wanted to purchase. I would say that the beginning of this year was an amazing time to do GameStop retro hunting, whether online or in store, because the deals were definitely abundant. Again, they had this for $99.99, so for me it wound up coming to around 67 or 70 bucks. I thought that that was a good deal for Mega Man 5. All right, moving right along to the Gen 4 pickup. Out of the top 10 most rare and expensive pickups, I was completely floored when I saw that I was able to add this game to my cart, because this was also an online pickup. I was shocked that I could add it to my cart, and I did it very hesitantly because I figured even if they did send me the game, it was going to be fake. But the game we're talking about is Mega Man X2. Now, Mega Man X2 is definitely a rare and expensive game. Online, Mega Man X2 goes for roughly around 120 bucks. GameStop had it for 99. And then of course there was a buy two get one. So I picked it up along with a copy of Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, which was also 99, and Def Jam Fight for New York, which they also had for 99. And the Def Jam Fight for New York actually wound up being the free game, but when you average it out, it allowed me to pick up Mega Man X2 for around 67, 70 bucks. And when it came, I immediately took it apart because I wanted to look at the motherboard to make sure that it was authentic. It was authentic. And then I also checked the label to make sure that the label was authentic. It was authentic. And it, even though it wasn't damaged, the label, it did show signs of like wear that you typically see on a game that's this old. But the label was still in great condition. And so I was super pleased that GameStop had finally come through for me on a rare and expensive Super Nintendo game, because I had tried to buy a rare Super Nintendo game from them twice. The first was Kirby's Dream Land 3. I picked up a copy of that game in store, got home, turned it on, and it was actually a copy of NBA Live. So I had to return that. I was super bummed that I got sold a fake game there. And then I also picked up a copy of Final Fight 3 from GameStop. Again, that was an in-store pickup as well. Now, joke's on me, right? I should have been able to tell that they were fake. Well, the Kirby's Dream Land 3, it was going to be really difficult for me to tell that was fake because I didn't have the screwdriver on me, so I couldn't open it up in store and tell. And the label was authentic. It's just that somebody had swapped the motherboard. So like unless you have like X-ray vision, you're not gonna know that. But the Final Fight 3, the joke was on me. I should have known that it was a fake label. I guess I just took a chance, hoping that at least the motherboard would have been real, even if the label was like a repro. Because of what they sold it to me for, I think it was like 60 bucks or so. I was like, well, even if the label's a repro and the motherboard is real, I'll still take it. Well, turned out that the whole thing was fake, and I wound up having to return that too. So when this copy of Mega Man X2 was legit, I was blown away, super happy, and added it to the collection. So that was another great pickup there. All right, moving right along. Now we're going to get into some Gen 5 stuff, and we're going to do both of these together. So walked into a GameStop, and they must have just recently taken a trade-in from someone who had traded in their PlayStation 2, because they had a PlayStation 2 console in there, a bunch of PlayStation 2 controllers, a bunch of PlayStation 2, as well as a bunch of PlayStation 1 games. And this person that traded in their PS1 games, they must have been a huge fan of Working Designs, because they had complete copies of Lunar, Silver Star Story complete, Lunar 2 Eternal Blue complete, and Arc the Lad collection. So I wound up picking up all three of those games from GameStop that day. There was a plus and a minus with all three pickups. I'll start with the minus. The minus for all three pickups is that none of the games had their jewel cases or their overall, like, when it comes to Lunar and Lunar 2, they come with those big boxes that house all of the extras, like the manual, the soundtrack, the pendant, all of the, the cardboard cutouts, all that stuff. So all the limited edition stuff is housed in that box. So All the big box and the jewel cases were missing, but all of the guts were there. So all of the discs were there in pristine condition. All of the extras were there, the pendant, the manual, the whole 9 yards. So I picked all of them up because each game was going for about 45 bucks. GameStop had them for 45. So I took advantage of that, of course. And then I just wound up finding jewel cases online for like 20 bucks a piece. So I was able to complete them. I'm still looking for the big box to house like the manuals and stuff like that. But all that being said, both games, I think Lunar Eternal Blue goes for roughly around 130, and then Lunar Silver Star Story Complete goes for around 120, just with the jewel cases. So those were still some of my most expensive pickups, because even without the jewel cases, they're still like, if you price chart them, they're still worth over 100 bucks. So they were some of the more expensive pieces that I had picked up as well. All right, moving right along, we're gonna go to Gen 6 stuff, which is the PlayStation 2. So PlayStation 2, I'll go through these. The first game that I picked up, Shadow Hearts. So they had Shadow Hearts for $71. For those of you who know, Shadow Hearts is a $120 game. Picked this up. It wasn't a buy two get one deal, but I picked this up in a lot of games, and they were offering 25 off of any purchase of over 250 bucks. So I wound up getting 10% off of my total purchase plus the 5% pro member discount. And then they were having a special coupons that day where you could get an additional 25% off one game. So I used that on the Shadow Hearts game. And then I also had some coupons as well, plus my $5 monthly discount. So I bought a whole lot of 360 games, along with a bunch of PlayStation 1 games, including Suikoden 2, Champions of Norath, Champions Return to Arms. It was a beautiful GameStop day, like probably my best GameStop day ever. And Shadow Hearts was a great pickup, so glad to add that. That was in store, so that was the other beautiful part. Again, like that store was just getting some amazing trade-ins over the summer. And then Def Jam Fight for New York, probably my greatest pickup because it was free. So this was the free game during the buy two get one. The only unfortunate part was that my copy of Def Jam Fight for New York did not have a disc, did not have a case or a manual. But I did go on eBay, and someone was, lo and behold, someone was selling the Def Jam Fight for New York Greatest Hits case with the manual for $10 plus $5 shipping. So I was able to complete my copy. Again, I did have to go and buy the case, but I didn't mind it at all. Def Jam Fight for New York is a $150 plus game. It just ranges. You know, I've seen copies go for $130, $140. I've seen copies go for $150, $160. So it just depends on who the seller is. But that was also an amazing pickup. And then moving to Gen 7, this is a pretty cool pickup. I thought it was interesting because I'd never seen it before. But Metroid Prime Trilogy on the Wii. So pick this up. It had everything with it. It had the steel case, it had the slipcover, it had all the inserts, it had all the, everything with it. If it had been missing any pieces to it, I probably wouldn't have picked it up because I'm not a huge fan of first-person shooters, even if it is Metroid. But because it was so complete, and because I was like, you know what, I'm willing to give this a try, I picked it up in this format. At the time I picked this game up, it was the online sales for this game were coming in at like 110, between 100 and 110. I wound up picking it up for 50, so I thought that was a really good deal, and then added it to the collection. Still have it today. And then continuing on with Gen 7, these last two pickups, these two games I found a number of times over the summer. The first was Spider-Man Web of Shadows, and then the second was Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine Uncaged. Spider-Man Web of Shadows has always been the most expensive of the Spider-Man games for like Gen 7. You have the big three, which is Web of Shadows, Edge of Eternity, I think, and Shattered Dimensions. Web of Shadows normally goes for around 120 is what I've seen it go for. Wolverine Origins was the one that really exploded over the summer thanks to the Wolverine Deadpool movie, and that game went from being roughly around, I want to say maybe like a $35 game and shot all the way up to, I've seen some copies go for like 150. In either event, I found both games for around $55 a piece. So these were easy adds to the collection, and I wanted to make sure I added those in there. Glad that I found those. But that does it for me. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. I am the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.